Hello and welcome to the Explain It podcast. I'm your host, Ingryd Hernandez. And with us this week, we're doing something totally different. Like when I say totally, I mean totally. You're used to being here when we're live and chatting with you in the podcast, in the chat, in the YouTube. But this week, we're pre-recording this podcast because we want to take advantage of the fact that all three of us are together. And I'm going to explain who these other folks are here. To my left is Eric Richards, CEO of Rich Investments Group. And then to my right is Chaitanya. No, Chai. He goes by Chai. I don't think I can say Phansalkar.
That's
Yeah,
not bad.
can I?
That's pretty good.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Thank you. I've been working
Better
on
than a lot of Indians.
Yeah? All right. Cool. So why are we here today? We have been very blessed in being in the SubTo mentorship. And as a part of that mentorship, we go to these huge events that we have. And all three of us have been having these huge, visions and dreams to do the goodest good we can in real estate at the same time, growing portfolio and doing well for our families. Those dreams collided, if you will, when we were at Squad Up this past March. And when we were at Squad Up, we kind of talked a little bit about what each of us needed. Chai being a finance consultant, if you will, to some extent, like the accounting, I'm sure I'm saying it wrong, but has a lot of bookkeeping experience. And Eric, on his side, he's grown his portfolio so big that he needed support in that aspect. But because Eric is also scaling, he needed someone like myself who can help bring marketing and hopefully tons of cash into the projects that we're working. So we all realized that we had, value to provide each other, and that's kind of where the relationship started. So Eric, welcome to the podcast. Actually, Chai's been on my podcast once before, So welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing out here. Where are we? Because I'm normally in Arizona for the most part.
For the most part. I selfishly robbed you guys to come to the Midwest. We are in beautiful, sporty, one-of-a-kind Bridgeport, Ohio. And most people wouldn't even know where that is if you had to point it out on a map. But it's where our main office and area is located. Our studio, which is where we're filming out of today, RIG Studios. I talked Ingryd into filming it here, doing something she's never done before. So that way we can show how the Midwest does it. We are very blessed to have Chai and Ingryd come in and be able to film and do this, because what we're going to be doing, Ingryd and I are going to be doing a lot of things together in the Midwest now because of what we have going on here. And Chai has been instrumental in advising us on the finance side, on making sure that we're bookkeeping things the right way, structuring things the right way, and making sure we're not getting ahead of ourselves too fast by the big things that we're taking on. But a little bit about myself. I got in SubTo 3 years ago, June 2022.
I didn't know that.
Right?
Yeah. So I've been in SubTo
for... The quiet giant over here.
Yeah, I've been in SubTo for 3 years. Just past my 3-year mark. I should get a chip like an AA meeting, but Pace isn't passing it out yet.
Yeah.
I got into real estate. I'd never done a deal before in my life. Never even for myself. I always paid cash for stuff and wrote it on a napkin and went to the courthouse. Like, I'd never done a purchase agreement. Like, when I got into real estate, I was completely blind. Didn't have a clue what I was getting into. Buckled down and learned as much as I could possibly learn through SubTo, through Kajabi, through trial and error. It's probably the biggest learning lesson that we did. There's an old guy that I used to work with that said, experience is not the best teacher, but it's by far the most convincing. And I live by that.
Amen.
So fast forward, I got talked into going to Squad Up this year for the first time in 3 years. And
the good news, it's only been the second one. So
There's only been 2 squad ups?
There's only been 2 squad ups last year and this year.
Oh, I'm like 50-50 on
Yeah,
that.
then you don't have to feel guilty.
Yeah,
there
my
you
average
go.
is way better than I thought it was.
Yeah, yeah.
But through a mutual friend introduced me to Ingryd. We went out and had dinner, and I was explaining to her like what I do in Ohio and West Virginia, the lives that we're changing, the help that we're being able to provide by doing affordable housing here on a huge level compared to anybody else in the area. And she just kind of fell in love with the idea and said she wanted to be a part of it. Shortly thereafter, we left dinner and
back to the hotel.
Back to the hotel and ran into Chai, and we all sat down and started talking about what kind of a game plan made sense and what we could do with all of our strengths and what each other brought to the table. And like I said, Chai has been so instrumental as far as a consultant to be able to come in and make sure that we're not moving too fast or moving in a direction that we could hurt ourselves in the long run.
Right. Like a solid proof of concept.
Yeah.
Because this is like, you may hear this from folks, like, don't necessarily jump into an LLC together, joint venture, see how each other of you react under stress, or how do you problem solve together? Like we literally actually got to do that in action last week and seeing how each other reacted and whether we were emotional or whether we focused on how do we get to the next step. And so I think it was actually, despite it not being like ideal, but it was actually a really great experience because you get to see how one another would react.
It was an incredible stress test that none of us even really seemed like was stressed.
No.
And the fact that we were doing it while we were
in the middle
of our owners club retreat, like you couldn't have asked for like a worse thing to happen at a worse time.
Right.
But
what are you gonna do?
Are you guys talking about the floods or?
No. So we had a deal that we were closing last week.
Oh, okay.
And we had a lender that came in and had pledged to do the deal with us 3 weeks before. And we were on the point that we thought everything was good until I signed the closing docs, and then the lender never funded the deal, saying that they were never notified about it. They didn't even know the deal was still on. And so we made ourselves available as much as possible to try and salvage the relationship with the lender and explain to them like, hey, we're like, everything's still as it was. You're like the most secured you could probably be in a lending position.
You know, all the right paperwork. But it was a good demonstration of why you don't raise to the goals that you have. You fall to the systems in place.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
And so obviously we were lacking some of the systems to make sure that whoever the communications there, and beyond communication, right? Like there's somebody accountable for each of the steps.
Yeah.
And that's actually another reason why we're here. We want to make sure we build that out so that we never have this experience with any other lender or close partner, because we want everyone to feel good about going through this with us.
Yeah.
So it was a good teachable moment for us about like what's still missing and what assumptions were made. But again, I think also whether we were wanting to have this happen or not, like this was a good experience. Like, hey, here's how I reacted. Here's how he reacted. Here's how the team reacted. And how we kind of all rallied despite the adversity, right? Because there's like no sense in getting upset because that's not going to solve anything. So,
It was, I'd say there was probably 15 seconds of frustration.
Okay.
And then, all right, let's figure this out.
Okay, let's figure it out.
So it was definitely quest by fire. But I think within 3 hours probably, after we got the news that they weren't going to move forward with us, within 3 hours, problem was solved. We were on with life and everything was as it should be. So
but that's real estate for you. You'll always have these like obstacles or surprises, and I think as long as you can like even keel through it, you know, and know that there's a bigger goal at hand, like you'll be fine. So, but yeah, I mean that was a good adversity experience for you and I.
Yeah, and we both passed the test.
So. Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, it worked.
I was still invited to his house afterwards. So everything worked good.
So, you want to touch on what the future holds?
Yeah. So the funny part is that in these last, 4.5 years, I've been in this like investment world because I've had my real estate license since 2013, but really the last 4.5 years have been concentrating on investing. And I have the great honor and pleasure of being in like one of the meccas of investors, because you have like, your Brent Daniels, your Jamil Damji, Pace Morby, like other bigger names out there, Zach Keeps, Cody Sperber. I mean, these are all people in Arizona, right? Like where I live. And all of them tell you go where the traffic is. Go get hit by that bus, because that's where you're going to go make money.
Oh, yeah.
And what that translates to is that you have to go to cities and towns where you have like 150,000 or more people in a city, right?
Yeah.
And so when I was talking to Eric and his vision and how he wanted to grow certain verticals in real estate, which we'll get to, but like how one will feed the other, and how it creates jobs, how it's creating more affordable housing, how it's really putting a really great outreach into these communities.
Impacting the communities.
Yeah, in a very positive way. But these communities are so small.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? Like, that's not where the traffic is. He's like, oh, it's just a different kind of traffic.
Yeah.
A country mile, I think I've heard about.
Yeah.
So when we talk about Houston or Phoenix, like big cities, like impacting the community looks like a long ladder that you're never gonna reach the top. But here it's
drop in the
like
ocean.
it feels like it's manageable. You can reach that
You really
far.
can make a difference.
Yeah.
One of my biggest words in my and anybody who's ever done business with me, I want to have an impact with a capital I. That's like my like North Star. Like I want an impact. I want to see like the fruits of my efforts and my time and my intention. And I was like, when you started describing what you were doing out here, I was like, wow, like it's affordable. You can see it translate into the community. You can see the impact you're leaving. Yeah.
So when I first started volunteering in SubTo as an underwriter, one of the things that really like changed in my mind, the mindset opened up to the fact that, okay, this is giving me so much fulfillment. I don't care about money.
Yes.
I mean, the opportunity is endless. I mean, people that I connect with, the deals they bring us and the opportunities they bring us, that's endless. But that's not what I'm happy about. I'm happy about people giving me feedback that, oh, that changed my life.
Yes.
It feels so much better inside that, I mean, that's what you are living for at the end of the day, like the journey that you are going through and feeling like, okay, I did something in my life for other people. That feeling is, I mean,
and it's
priceless.
also because we all carry when you go through a values review, service is really high.
Yeah.
So like, would you say that too?
Oh,
like service, for me, service, community, like that's top.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Absolutely.
awesome. And then the Midwest. So it's like it's still very much untapped, where like Eric is giving me the numbers of like of what it's costing for both purchase and rehab, and I was like, that's not even a rehab price for my flips in Arizona. And so like, let's talk through this. Is it even worth it? And then, when you and I were reviewing the numbers, I was like, wait, what am I doing in Arizona?
Yeah.
What is happening here?
So I was on a call with Pace. I was doing his Get Creative podcast like 2 weeks ago, and he was talking about a flip that he was doing. It's like an $800,000 purchase, and he's going to put $150,000 in it and hope he can sell it for like 1.2, 1.3 million. And I was like, well, that's cool. It's like I just bought a house for 20 grand that we put 15 in it, and I said I'm going to make $60,000 off of it. And he's like, seriously? He's like, how long is your rehab? And I was like, 3 weeks. He's like, I'm going to be 4.5 months on mine.
Oh my God.
He said, you're going to make that money in like after 3 weeks? I said, well, it'll be on market after the third week. I said,
and guess what? If it doesn't sell, you'll make more money.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
The fun part.
That's the fun part.
And that's the beautiful part about this market is like we can have multiple exit strategies.
Oh, yeah.
So if a flip doesn't sell or if we're not getting the value out of it, we're able to pivot and turn it into a long-term rental, or pivot and put it into our rent-to-own program, which we'll be talking about shortly, or pivot and do group housing or sober living, or there are so many different concepts that work here because of the diversity that this area has that no place else has.
Yeah, diversity and cost, right?
Yes.
Those two things are, because like you can do all of those things in Arizona, from like a co-living to all the things, but it's so difficult from a cost perspective.
Yeah.
Because the affordability of doing it in Arizona is just
So
out of this.
I have been chasing Ohio probably for the last 6 to 7 years. And the first time I heard about Ohio was when I used to listen to Bigger Pockets podcast.
Okay, not
This
anymore,
guy
though.
came, not anymore, of course. I listen to Get Creative podcast.
Oh, thank you.
So this guy from San Diego, I think worked a really like a basic job, like in Walmart or something, and then started in real estate, and then did well in San Diego, maybe in one or two deals. But then he quickly moved to Cleveland and started buying there. And I mean, if we got into Cleveland market 6-7 years ago, it would be different now. But I think I completely missed that ride. I just kept thinking of what I can do. So I didn't start actually taking any action about Midwest until like 2 years ago. And the first opportunity I got was not even Midwest, it was in Detroit. And it was a similar company, but just ran by a bunch of young people coming together without one leader or one vision. So everybody had their own vision. So we could never get past, actually any discussions to deals. Like here we are like
there was
already
misalignment.
Yeah, a lot of misalignment. So
Not good, bad, or anything, but if you don't have a shared vision, or if the vision cast is not strong enough, it's hard to go and implement and execute. Yeah.
So not only did I feel like with you guys when we started discussing this, you are already away from the big cities and you are trying to dominate these smaller markets, which is very unique. And I mean, there is no way anybody can ever replicate what you do without being here.
Correct. It's super localized.
So it's very local flavors. I mean, if someone moved here or started buying from like sitting in California or Texas or anywhere,
good luck.
Without you, they will be taken for a ride like all day long.
What's been super surprising to me, because I didn't expect this at all, like literally, we're walking into a closing today. Patty was working the receptionist desk and helping through the closing, and she's like, "You down there by the interstate?" Is that what she said?
Yeah. You have the property down by the interstate?
Yeah, and I was like, who would know that? Nobody knows any of this in like these big cities. We're just another, building. Like there's no like connection. But when you're in these smaller towns, it's still very much shake my hand, look at me in the eye, and like
your word is your bond.
Yeah.
Your reputation is everything.
Yeah.
Everybody knows everything.
Yeah.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you are one of the people that go out and try to take advantage of other people, if you are somebody that goes out and tries to like shortchange somebody to get ahead, it's very short-lived. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows that's who you are, and you will never.
And I never understood the weight of that until I actually came here. So I'm so happy that I came here and had that experience, because you know, especially going through that adversity last week where you're like, you don't understand my work, like I can't, and for me,
I don't care about the deal. I care about my
because of the terms we actually agreed to, like I trusted you saying that, and I was like, F it. Even if I have to give a portion of my profit, if it means we don't, like, we keep our word and we do right by the seller. Like I was prepared to like give it all, just as long as, we did what we said we were going to do. And even you were like, Ingrid, are you sure this is too much? And I'm like, no, man, let's just make sure that this gets done. But it was all very theory until we came here, and you're like, oh yeah, I understand him now. I mean, he's going to be very known.
Like, I like to make a list of like pros and cons.
Of course.
Any situation I walk into.
You're like the Chandler Bing of.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry. For anybody who has a friend's reference.
I love Chandler Bing.
Yeah.
He's my like favorite character.
You're welcome. I just called you. All right.
All my jokes are inspired by Chandler Bing. So, but long story short, like all my Midwest experience, and not only did I go to Detroit, I went to Toledo, I went to Canton, all these markets I explored like in over last 2 years, but never have I ever met a guy, a partner that is suitable for me to work with. Until when we met Eric, it felt like, we are at the same maturity level in life in general, in real estate, and he's connected and driven with a good vision to impact the local area he's in.
Right.
So, I think we are in great hands with this Midwest Collective initiative, but more so about the strategy related to Midwest in general. I feel like everybody need to look into Midwest, especially because this is 2025 and not 2021.
Right.
We are, interest rates have hit all-time high, over 7%. There is no strategy in big cities that anyone can say with conviction that, okay, this works.
Right.
Like Burr doesn't work. SubTo, unfortunately, doesn't work until, you have a buyer that is going to pay more than what your interest rate is. And that's, I'm talking about wraparound mortgages for those who know.
Yeah.
So here we can buy properties for like 20 to 30% of the cost compared to like 70% if we are lucky in Texas. So that alone is a big like plus. And there is not many people are looking in areas like this.
Yeah.
So the exit strategy, so this opportunity is not, it's like what Texas was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So, and people were skeptical. I'm sure people will be skeptical about this too, but houses.
Let them be skeptical.
Yeah.
We're gonna move on.
Yeah.
We got things to do.
Stay in California. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So Eric, what caused you to think about this area and your vision and your strategy around it? Like what was the catalyst into all of that?
I would say probably the biggest influencer was Cody Sanchez. She is phenomenal.
Yeah. That's my girl. Okay.
I didn't honestly put it all together in my head. Like I had ideas of how I wanted to expand and how I wanted to build out, but I never really had a why. Like, why would I do that? Like, I'm successful where we're at. Like, I have no competition really. Like, I'm probably one of the biggest fish in a small pond. So there's no reason for me to change anything up. I could stay the course, live a very comfortable life, have a really good, 10, 15 years at it before, I need to hang it up and be done with it, right? The thing that motivated me to talk with you guys and build the plan out and want to execute this Midwest Collective is when Cody Sanchez spoke at Squad Up, and she was putting us to task, saying that the reason why she buys small businesses and does these things is because the BlackRocks and the hedge funds and the equity funds of the world, if they go through and they buy all of these things, that in 10 years' time, there's not going to be anything local left. They're going to dictate how much they're going to charge us to get things done, and there is never going to be an alternative. And without alternatives,
there is no competition.
The middle class America is going to be priced out of being able to do anything, and it's going to make the economy such a hard place to live in. And she said, I task you people, and she was talking to us as Squad Up, students, to get involved and look at local businesses, because if we buy them and we use our power in our community to build it out and do that, it can fundamentally change those big corporations or those big entities from coming in and being able to control everything.
Yeah.
And I got to thinking about that, and I said, honestly, like I'm not super interested in buying more businesses, because when you buy more businesses, you buy more employees, you buy more issues, and you have to be very dialed in for that. And I don't know that I'm that guy. But if you look at what I'm doing in real estate, it's very easy for me to do the exact same concept in real estate. BlackRock had gone through and bought so many single-family homes and are controlling it and sitting on it, I would say at a record level in 2024.
Oh, yeah.
Right? These equity funds, hedge funds, all want to go in and buy all of these properties so that way they can have these assets that are going to appreciate. They control the market, they control the rents, and they do all of these things. So if that's happening for businesses, and I know that 2024 was the biggest land grab for these hedge funds in history, why wouldn't I be able to put myself to task to move forward and do exactly what Cody is calling us to do? Why can't we go through these small town Americas and we can buy these properties and we can do the things that we need to do to protect middle class America? Right? We can keep housing affordable. We can keep property prices affordable to where people can live in these communities still and raise families still and feel like there's a sense of America and it's not all corporate. You know what I mean? And I've kind of already done that on a small level, just how I've built my portfolio. But with the right people and the right partnerships and the right visions, we could do this on a much larger scale and really impact, to go off of your word, really have an impact and have people be able to live that American dream. You know what I mean? And I was called to arms. And, you know, when you get the calling, you got to answer.
That's right. That's right.
No, that is, I mean, the vision is what we are sold on, honestly. I mean, that's why we are here. That's why, and I mean, I'm amazed, honestly, not just impressed, to see how this community works and your knowledge of the community. That's what I'm sold on. I don't even need to know your operations anymore, because I know the passion behind it, and I know you'll find your answers. You're a resourceful guy. But for us to talk about on this podcast, I want to emphasize on the opportunity that we are extending to the investors to come join us on this collective. We want more, I mean, of course, Ingryd is in charge of bringing investors to the Midwest Collective, and we have no shortage, at least as for now. But our goals are a lot bigger than where we are. We are at maybe 5 properties at the moment, but our goals are to go to 2,000, 3,000 properties like that. At that time, we are going to need a lot of people. And your money is in safe hands, in the sense that not only are we taking on more properties at a time, but we are always looking at 3 exit strategies, as Eric likes to say. So, and that is still possible in Midwest, only.
Only.
I would say probably, and the other side of that is, in this area specifically, there's not a lot of financial literacy. Like, people are not taught about money. Money is a dirty word. You don't talk about it. You keep it on the down low. So there are so many generations that grow up and they've always rented from people, and then the next generation just rents from people, and the next generation rents from people. The thing that I love that we're doing is, yes, we're creating incredible opportunities in these markets and these towns and these areas, and are impacting so many people by keeping things affordable and having real life communication and conversations with them. But I think the thing that I love the most about it is we are going to give so many people the opportunity of home ownership that they never thought they'd have. And we're going to be able to do it without going through banks to where, like, you have to run your credit and you have to provide this and have to do that and have to jump through hoops, and like they get 3 pints of blood and you have to donate your firstborn child, and like all the things that banks are requiring people to do now because the market is so tight for them, right? We're going to be able to use what we know in these communities, what our expertises are together, and make our investors, plenty of money. But at the same time, keeping affordable housing and giving people
it's a triple win. Like, it's a win across the board. And like I was saying earlier, it's like, wait, your first position, right? Your first position lien, meaning all the debt against that house, is inclusive of purchase and rehab. And for the most part, we're going to keep a standard of anywhere from like 50 to 70% LTV, if not lower, obviously, but like have a ceiling where it's all in at that, so that investors feel comfortable that we can quickly DSCR out.
Even if we disappear from the face of this earth, the investor can still come in and make more money than what they were supposed to. That's the whole idea.
They actually want us to default. They're like, let me have this.
We get abducted by aliens. The investors going to benefit for it.
And it doesn't have to, mind you, I love creative. It opened so many doors for me. But this is literally cash. Like
Yeah.
that we don't have to get crazy. These are like fundamental investment
Yes.
choices. Like I remember when we were talking about on this podcast previously, it's like always stay bankable. So despite, the things you hear on the internet of like, oh, you don't need your credit, oh, you don't need your own money. That's not a fundamental core of being an investor. In my opinion, you stay bankable. You keep your
Yes.
credit good and you keep your reputation good. Second to that is like when you're buying, the whole point of being an investor is to build your net worth.
Yeah.
And so if you continually buy these properties that have no equity, like you're going to put yourself in a tight spot should you need to fire sell your properties or needing to pivot and leveraging that asset. It makes it more difficult to do that. So I love this location because we have the big I impact, but then you can still use the fundamentals that you're supposed to know and do as an investor. It's the two I's: be a good investor, have good impact.
Yes.
Yeah. And creative still works here too.
And creative still works.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So the opportunities for us to be able to obtain properties that can work across all facets is unimaginable here. And just as experience, I in 18 months have built an 80-unit portfolio. We do.
Wow.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
In 18 months, we have built in-house. We have built contractors up to where we're doing 2 to 3 flips a month religiously with net returns of about $25,000 to $30,000 a flip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Phenomenal.
We've built an entire wholesaling division in 6 months. I started really getting into wholesaling 6 months ago in January, and we're up to 8 to 10 deals a month now. All because we use every strategy available. We make sure it fits the mold. We have multiple exit strategies that make sense.
And it's also because you don't think of it as a hobby.
No.
You think of it in the true business sense. So something that I've been able to observe in the chair that I sit in, looking at like the mentorship and how people participate and how people grow, is that it very much is a hobby in the way that they've not professionalized themselves.
Yes.
Their staff, the culture they don't have a staff, right? So the fact that you are like, okay, I'm going all in on this. It's going to be a business. We got to see their morning stand-up meeting today, and just how everyone came prepared. Everyone had their list of here's the things I need to cover.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that it was it's ready, break. Let's get the day going.
Nice.
And so it was fantastic.
9 to 9:30. We go over every division and say, hey, let's lock this out today. Let's get it done.
And look at the lives you're changing just in that office. I mean, I was sitting there thinking these are people's lives. You're putting food on their table and they're able to feed themselves and their family off the vision that you're executing, right?
Yeah.
It's not just oh, let me go fix and flip and, they're and not really have that infrastructure where yours is super solid. Would you want to touch a little bit on how that looks in your business and because we were your divisions. I feel like that was a little bit of a sneak peek into that. You're not just a one-stop me. You are a one-stop shop because you have all of these verticals. You want to expand upon that?
Absolutely. So I started a year ago. We didn't even have an office. So the office you guys sat in today didn't even exist a year ago.
Look at that. Universe is just putting things all together so that when me and Chai came, it's we're ready.
So I would say this time last year, Jess and I, my wife, we were working off our kitchen table, the same table that you guys sat and hung out with me at, right?
Yeah.
We had everything from the kitchen table.
Jess is a killer.
I had one employee.
Yeah.
She was a property manager. Jess wasn't even in the business at the time. She was still full-time mortgages, and as she still is, you know what I mean? She was just hey, you do your thing. I'm going to do my thing.
Decisions.
You know what I mean? So it ultimately, I was myself. Jess would look at the bank statements just to make sure that I wasn't going bankrupt and trying to cover my butt kind of thing, because wives do that thing. And then I had one employee, and then there was a contractor that I've worked with from the very beginning 3 years ago. He and his son started as a handyman service. And then I've helped because I've grown, they've grown, and it's been parallel. And I owe them just as much as I could ever pay them. You know what I mean? Like it's very reciprocal between us and them. They went from just a father and son duo to where they have like 10 employees now.
Wow.
His wife was a general manager for a store that she actually quit her job and joined the company. And now she works full time in that and gave up her general manager.
I love the fact that you know like every person's history, where they came from, what they're. So in our world, it's very uncommon to.
I know everybody on his crews. They're not even my employees. They're just subsidiaries of us, right? There's a gentleman that's on his crew that just started about a month ago. He spent 15 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. He was his friends went and robbed a bank, and he knew what happened and wouldn't tell the cops. So the cops pinned it all on him and put him in jail for 15 years. He was 18 years old. He's never known anything but prison his entire adult life up to this point. And
oh my God.
Had, you know what I mean? And he just got out and was introduced to my contractor and was telling a story. And my contractor said, "We got you." And we've absolutely helped him. We've given him a place to stay. One of our apartments that, you know, we need to renovate it. We've helped him get, you know, food and everything like that to where he can actually start
do
building
good
his
for
life.
the community and get
and he's a great guy, hard worker. Like he just wants to do
have
his
a chance.
part, right? Like every day of the week, I'll help you, dude. Like, just show up. You know what I mean? But yeah. So a year ago, we had nothing, and I just said that, listen, we're going to hit the gas pedal on this. We're going to make this into something, and the vision that, you know, I'm never going to be able to grow or scale into anything if I'm at my kitchen table. So the first thing I need to do is have an office building, so that way when people come and they see my company, they see a company. They don't see, you know, my knickknacks on my dining room wall. You know what I mean? So we creatively bought our office space and renovated it and put it into place. And then from there, like whatever our needs are, like we've just been hiring somebody in. I needed a new property manager. I needed a new office manager. We needed to build an acquisitions room. So we built that whole acquisitions room that wasn't there a year ago when we bought the office building. We built that for those acquisition guys to feel like this is our space. We need to perform in this space, right? Everybody that's come in that we've done, the very first thing I talk to them about is our culture. Our culture in the company is I don't know, an anagram or whatever of what our company name is, Rich Investments Group. Rich is our culture, reliability first and foremost. I have to be able to trust you, and you have to be able to trust me that we're going to do right by each other. And if you do that, then I have your back. Integrity.
I is not for Ingryd.
It's not for Ingryd, not yet.
Dang.
Now, this is it's not chiseled in stone yet.
Because
so
there's a C in there too, you know.
Hey, listen, it could be Rich, Ingryd, and Chai. I'm okay with it. So, eyes for integrity. I need everybody that works for us and works for the company to do the right thing when nobody's watching. You need to have integrity that you're going in and you're doing the best you can for not just yourself, but everybody that you are involved
doing
with.
the right thing when nobody's watching.
That's it. C's for coachability, right? I'm learning every day. I'm not the end-all, be-all. Nobody in my company knows everything, even in their specialty fields. Like my property manager has been in property management for 15 years probably. She still learns things about what we need to do.
I mean, it was fun to watch that everybody is able to give shit to each other. And laugh about it. But that is so important from the culture standpoint. A lot of people forget that. Why it's important. It's going to help you make more money. People think like acting like a boss is going to create more culture. That's completely the opposite of
it has to feel like family.
So the
we have an H still.
We do have an H. Is honor. Honor. You have to feel honored that you are contributing to other people. You are doing services for other people. And that's our culture. And if you don't fit that culture, you're not going to be with us. And there's been turnover because of that. There are people that are way more accredited than I am and way more like skilled at a lot of the stuff that we could probably use in the company. But they just are not a fit to the culture. They were going to come in and they were very
anti. Steamroll everybody.
They thought that, you know, just having that out there and having that and living that every day was a
But I love how you also hold your team to that, right? Because there's one thing to say, you know, and I've come from very, very big corporations, right? Like where they say they have a culture, they say here's like how we live
Yeah.
our lives and what our guidelines are. And if you don't have that coming from the top down, it's just words on paper. So it's really
Yeah.
nice to see that like that's like and again, Chai and I got to experience this firsthand. It's like we go there and we actually see it live in
Yeah.
action.
Oh yeah. 100%.
And just how there was a lot of love in that, right?
Oh,
I know
yeah.
where you shoot the shit and all that, but it's like there was a lot of love in that
Yeah.
room, and I loved it.
There-
Yeah.
everybody in that room knows that
Yeah.
whatever they need to do, I would do it with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We had flash floods 2 weeks ago. We just did a benefit.
That's wild.
My the sexiest engineer in the Ohio Valley, Jake, he organized just an incredible benefit yesterday for flood relief victims and for the studio and everything that we've done. But 2
I'm
weeks
gonna have to
ago,
pull that link. Is there a link to
absolutely.
to donate? Yeah,
Yep.
we'll put that link in the show notes.
I think there's 10 links.
Yeah, I
different
couldn't. Like
organizations.
my stomach hurt so bad. Jess showed me a video of water going through people's basement and just like, and then going up the stairs, and this huge, like literally like ocean-sized water coming through the roads, and I was like, oh my god.
The property that we ended up losing in the flood, they had a 20-minute warning. That's it. 20 minutes.
Oh my God.
And I don't know what it's like in Arizona or Houston. Like you guys, I'm sure, get tornado warnings
Yeah.
or storm warnings or whatever.
Yeah.
Here, you'll get a flash on your phone, a tornado warning or tornado whatever, and like you're like, okay, and nothing ever happens, so people ignore
Yeah.
it.
Don't.
No, that's
much
how it
of
is in
it,
Arizona, and then you're like, oh, I'm standing in water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our problem
But
in
big
Arizona
city-
is like it's hard. Our
Yeah.
ground is hard, so no water kind of like.
Oh really?
Yeah. So then when we do have flash floods, like
It's just on the floor.
it's on on the surface.
floor.
Yeah. Like
Yes.
that's why.
So in St. Clairsville, I got the warning on my phone. There was a flash flood warning coming for Belmont County, Ohio County, Marshall County, all of these areas. And I got it, and I went outside on our deck, and I looked up, and I was like, it's not even raining. Like, this is stupid. Like,
Yeah.
why are you giving me these warnings, right? And 20 minutes later, I'm getting phone calls. Like, tenants are, like, their houses have 6 feet of water in them. Like,
Wow.
there are, like, trucks and storage containers floating down the river and smashing into people's houses,
That's
into people's
crazy.
property.
Yeah.
Like 8 people are missing, 10 people are missing. Like it's cataclysmic, and and they had a 20-minute warning. You know what I mean? So for one to have the mantra like in your mindset, like, all right, I got this warning, like, it's no big deal, and then all of a sudden you're in a situation that you can't get out of. Like if you didn't get out, you weren't getting out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to have that devastation happen so suddenly, and it's so uncommon here. Like we don't have that happen here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for that to be what happened 2 weeks ago, and then 3 days ago, we had a very similar situation. Like we had 4.5, 5 inches of rain that dropped in 45 minutes. And this is all hills and valleys. You guys have said it since you come here. It's so like landscape beautiful and everything. But when it hits the hills, it all comes down.
Yeah, that
and
makes sense.
it hits those tributaries, and it's just
Thank God you have trees. Imagine if you didn't have the trees.
I know.
mean, they're probably slowing things down. Good golly. But again, very beautiful.
Yeah.
It was like very much, I didn't know what to expect coming here.
Yeah.
Because every time I hear about the Midwest, I actually hear the opposite of hills. I hear it's like
when you go.
just flat. But I'm like, oh, I think that's just Kansas
I haven't
City.
like actually gone through the small towns like this before
No.
in Ohio or in general Midwest.
Oh, yeah.
So you, in a way, like so I had, of course, like the natural beauty and then your operation. Like always, like I have 2 things when I'm traveling. So your operation wise, I always compare you now with the Detroit team, and they were also very organized, but they were working for someone else. So there is a big group out of Turkey. So I don't know if you know this, but Detroit has a lot of Middle Eastern people.
Oh.
Like if you go on the streets, you will hear like the announcements from mosques. Like it feels like you're in Middle East. And some of the best
in Detroit?
in Detroit.
Did Eminem approve that?
I don't know.
All right.
I think it's
That's-
South
So
of 8 Mile.
some
okay.
of the
I got
counties in Detroit have like almost exclusively Middle Eastern people on the board.
Oh, that's
Yeah, it's
interesting.
crazy. and amazing Middle Eastern food. So this team, like most of them are from Middle East, and one Hispanic guy who put us all together from Florida.
I bet you they have the best chicken shawarma.
Oh, better than that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right.
So these guys were like same operation like you, but again, a lot of young people. And but what I learned with that is it needs a special crew to handle these properties, because you cannot just go in and pay $3 per square foot for painting and $2 per square foot for this and that. It's just, it doesn't work. I mean, you're buying properties for 30-40% of what you are going to pay to rebuild them.
Yeah.
So I felt like there is so much opportunity if there was a better crew somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that was something I didn't know what to think. I just came here to see
Observe
if this is going to work.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I'm very much
I think
convinced.
he's happy.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I tell people all the time, I have the greatest market in the country.
Yeah.
And I don't say it like I'm embellishing. I say it because it legitimately is. But to your point, to come here and to set up shop and to do what we've done, you have to have an operator on the scene.
You have a team.
You have to have a team. You have to have a purpose. You have to have a blueprint of how to do it and do it right. Because just as easy, you can come in and buy these properties for $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. You could lose $100,000 off of them by doing it wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So what I was trying to explain about this Detroit team is what opened my eyes to, in general, this area of the nation is the fund out of Turkey is gobbling up properties like there is no tomorrow. Like literally, they go to auctions and they buy full tranches, like 80 properties at a time, 100 properties at a time. And this guy has set up the best fund in the world that nobody knows about somehow. So he raises money from people in Turkey, and I guess they have no better way to invest. He pays them like ridiculous returns, like 15% or 20%, regardless of whether there is tenant in place or not in their property. But then he reserves the option to buy it back from them. So then he goes to the portfolio lenders and picks up. That's where I got this idea from for this Midwest collective. So, and there are a lot of funds like that. I have brochures from many funds that are active in Ohio, but they only focus in Cleveland, Columbus areas because those are popular and those are well known, and California already knows about these areas, so they raise money from there. But what we are doing is we are starting on the ground floor in this area. This is going to be the next Cleveland or Columbus where people will start looking.
Very good. Yeah.
So yeah, this is going to be good.
Well, this has been like quite the week.
I'm glad that you guys came, and I'm glad that you believed me enough to come and see it for yourself.
Absolutely.
Because until you're here, I can tell you all day long, and we can have as many Zooms and phone conversations until you're here and you see it, and you can see the people and you can see the opportunities that are here.
Yeah.
It's almost unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the fact that the three of us each have such a high level of thinking of what's possible, nobody else in this area is going to be able to do that.
Right.
Nobody else is going to be able to take the steps and the speed that we're going to take those steps.
Right.
It's very exciting for the future.
Yes.
And I'm really, I feel fortunate that I got to share this with you guys.
Yeah. Thank you. This is
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah. And for all of you out there, obviously this is like a sneak peek into what we're doing out here, what we want to grow it into. Hopefully you can kind of see where we're headed and how this journey, is headed. Like with all three of us in mind of how we want to impact, how we want to invest even with you. So if any of you are interested in learning more about what we're doing, hit me up on my DMs on Instagram. Text me the word Midwest. And that way we can keep you informed of what we got going and how you may even be able to participate with us when we're ready. So I just want to say thank you guys for such a great weekend here in Ohio, technically also West Virginia.
Yeah.
We touched up all these different places. Everything's near each other over here. And I was in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
We came in through Pittsburgh.
Came in through Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'm just not global trotting. I'm USA trotting over here.
It's the tri-state area.
Yeah. But this is wonderful. Chai, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Eric, thank you for being here and sharing that big old vision of yours. I love it. And for all of you out there, thank you for being here on the Explain It podcast. And just like we do every week, we are here every Wednesday from 1 to 2 Arizona time. This time it'll be very unique. You're going to watch this, not live, but pre-recorded. But leave your comments. Let us know where you're following us from and whether or not you think this would be a great investing location, even for yourself or people you may know. So thank you, and we'll catch you guys next week.